Hello and welcome to 1314 Online. I'm Professor Algio, and so I just kind of wanted to go over the course and kind of what the expectations are and all that good stuff. So this is the D2L. So when you log into your D2L, it should look similar to mine. And so I'm teaching a couple different courses here. And so our course is going to be the one right here, the 1314 section 1507. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And when you come in here, there'll be an announcement page. And so this is kind of welcoming you to the class. And when I'm done here, I'm going to put in a link to this video. So when you're in the D2L page, you can click and watch this video. And so mine looks pretty similar to yours. Mine might look a little different. I might have a couple different icons up here, but the main thing is the content right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on content. And then we have the syllabus here. And actually, I think I noticed something. They're doing something different this year. So let me go ahead and go on to student view. I believe you actually have to go to the syllabus right here. So see it says syllabus up here. So I switched to student mode. And so I'll go ahead and click on it so we can look at the syllabus. But yeah, I think you have to do that, and you have to acknowledge that you've actually seen it, I believe. Let's see, here we go. So right here it says syllabus acknowledgement. Please read the syllabus and then click, that you acknowledge. All right. So this is something new that we're doing this semester, the way that we have to put our syllabus online. So here we are. So course information, this is an online course. Students will complete weekly homework assignments using the MyOpenMath platform, and directions for that will be in D2L. In this video, we'll definitely go over all that. Exams will also be taken via the MyOpenMath, paired with a lockdown browser and Respondus Monitor software. So you're going to take an orientation quiz, and when you do that, in the process, you'll have to download that software, the lockdown browser and the Respondus Monitor. And so the orientation quiz is really kind of just to kind of get that out of the way and make sure we have everything set up properly before the first exam comes around. So that's one of the big parts of the orientation quiz, is just to make sure we understand the protocol for testing. So, and we'll take a closer look at that in a little bit. Okay, so here's my email. That's going to be the best way to contact me. You can try calling my office, but it's going to be hit and miss. The best way is to email me, especially if you're having problems with some of your homework. You can always send me snippets of where you're struggling, or just tell me what question from the homework. Just the more specific you are, the more likely I'm going to be able to help you out. There's also a way for us to interact in MyOpenMath, and that would kind of actually be my preferred way. And once again, we'll go over that when we get there. So student engagement hours, which is basically just office hours. I'm available other times. I do teach classes during the day, but if these times don't work for you, just let me know, and we can always work something out. So here's our department information. Okay, course overview. I'm not going to read through all this. You can read through it, and if you have any questions, you can let me know. The outcomes that we're required to cover in the course. Okay, so this thing, once again, this is one of our newer things. This is a thing called the Star Bundle. And basically what it is you can pay for your books by your credit hours. And I think it's $21 per credit hour. And then Lone Star will supply all your materials for you. Now, you automatically are opted into it, but you can opt out of it if you want to. You have to do it within, I believe, the first week. Maybe it's 2 weeks. I'm not positive. And so it kind of depends on what classes you're taking. So for my class, you really don't need the Star Bundle because I don't use any books that you have to pay for or programs. Some teachers that teach the same class do, but I don't. So you're not going to have to pay for anything. So it kind of depends on your other classes as to whether you want to opt in or out. And so if your other classes don't really require really expensive books, then maybe it would be ideal for you to opt out. But anyways, I don't know all the details on that, but that's, like I said, this is our second semester doing the STAR bundle. So that might be something you want to look into. Okay, required text and materials. So I'm using a free book, so you don't have to pay for it. It's by OpenStax, which is a free resource, and that the link to this book will be in MyOpenMath if you want to look through the book. And then for the homework and test platform right here is going to be the myopenmath.com. Once again, those instructions will be found in D2L, and I'll show you all that when we get there. Optional materials, a scientific is ideal for this course. Graphing calculators are not necessary, but you can if you want. The exams should have a built-in digital calculator. So on the exams, you will have a built-in digital calculator to use. All right, so important dates. So we have a thing called ODR, and that's official day of roll. So if a student is not active within the first week of class, we consider them a no-show and you're dropped and you cannot be reinstated. So it's very important that in that first week you get the ball rolling and get going. And then the drop date, the last day you can withdraw from the course, would be April 10th if that's needed. Our final exam, our regular exams are going to be on a calendar that's posted in D2L, and once again, we'll go over that in a moment. And then the final exam window is going to be from May 11th to May 14th. Since this is an online course, I give you typically 4 to 5 day windows for any assessment. All right, so grade determination, it should be pretty familiar. An A is a 90 or above. A B is going to be 80 to 89, and so on. You can earn a D in this course, so a 60 to a 69 is a D, but just be aware that most four-year universities will require you to retake the course if you earn a D. So really you want a C or better if you're going to be transferring. So here is how you are going to be assessed. So homework's going to make up 20% of your grade. And those assignments are in MyOpenMath, and once again, I'll show that to you in a moment. And then you are given 4 late passes. So if you do get behind at some point and you want to catch up, you do get 4 of them. Okay, after that, that's it. Regular exams, we're going to have 3 regular exams. And so that's going to count for 60% of your grade. And so you're going to take the exam in MyOpenMath, but it's not tricky, but in order for me to use the tools of Respondus Monitor and the Lockdown browser, I have to hide the exam in D2L. Not really hide, but I have to put a link in D2L so that I can use the tools that are available in D2L. And so whenever it's time to take a test, you'll go to course activities, click on quizzes, and you'll be able to find it there. And I'll show it to you in a moment, but basically what I do is in D2L, I create like a fake quiz. Like it's not really a quiz, it's just a place for me to put the link to the real exam. It's just there's a link to get to the real exam so that I can use those tools. And then when you're done, you'll just, I think it's a true-false question, the fake test. It's not really a test. And you just select true and then, submit it, and that's it. But really, I'm just using the tools that are available in D2L, but the exam is actually really going to be in MyOpenMath. And like I said, I'll go over that in a moment. So during the test, you can use a scientific or graphing calculator. Like I said, there is going to be a built-in calculator that you can use. And then you are going to be allowed to use one 3x5 note card, okay? And you can put whatever notes or examples you want on it, but other than that, you can't use anything else. And so we'll kind of go over that in a moment, about the expectations for testing, about how to set up your camera and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. I don't allow any makeups on the exams, but I will replace your lowest regular exam grade with how you perform on the final. So let's say you miss an exam or you just do poorly on one. Let's say you make a 50 and you're not happy about that, but then on the final exam, let's say you make a 90. Well, then that 50 will get replaced with that 90. Or if you miss an exam, that 0 would get replaced with whatever you make on the final exam. Okay, so after you take the exam, there's also going to be the opportunity to earn partial credit by submitting your work. Okay, and so to earn partial credit, a student must submit their handwritten work within 1 hour of completing an exam. Partial credit means getting some points back on problems that you missed on the exam. So students that typically do this, that submit their work, usually they can get anywhere from a few points to, I've seen some students get 10 or 15 points back. It just kind of depends. It's kind of a case-by-case situation. And you will submit your work in D2L. So under content, there is a work submission button, and I will show that to y'all also in a moment. Then the final exam is going to be 20% of your grade, and the rules are the same for the final exam as for the regular exams. You still get that note card. You get a little extra time. You get 3 hours. Really, most students take about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, but you'll have that extra hour just in case. So exam expectations. So this is important here, and that's going to be your video USB webcam placement. Okay, so the main thing is I want to see the workspace, I want to see your keyboard, and I want to see the monitor. I don't have to be able to see the monitor perfectly, but I do want it within the frame. And so these are all really good examples of what students have done in the past right here. These all look great. So you can kind of do like a side profile, that's fine. All these are pretty much kind of from the side. This one's a little bit from the front and side. So these all look great. So I need to see your workspace. I need to see you, obviously, right? The keyboard and your screen. Okay, so no built-in webcams. Okay, so no built-in cameras to your laptop. So if you have a laptop, you can't use the built-in camera. So here you can kind of see the statement that I already said. I must be able to see your face, your hands, and your workspace, so your desk, your keyboard, and screen. No built-in webcams or on your laptop. So if you have to purchase one, they're not really all that expensive. You could probably get it for even cheaper than $15 from Walmart or Amazon. And so then if there is any suspicion of academic dishonesty, you will receive a 0 and be required to take the remaining exams on campus at one of our testing centers. So the main thing is, look, I don't want you to be nervous or anything. Just make sure you have everything set up properly. Okay, just make sure I can see your workspace, can see you, your hands. Okay, this one, all these are good. Any of these would be fine. All right. Computer and internet, make sure that you have a reliable internet source. Okay, you do need high speed so that you can do the Respondus monitor, which is the recording feature. Okay, so you got to have high speed. Make sure your computer is charged or plugged in. The exams have to be on a PC or Mac, so you can't do an iPad. And Chromebooks also have had issues, so I don't believe Chromebooks work very well either. Okay, so Respondus Lockdown Browser, just be aware that even if you've used this from a different course, each software is different. Okay, so D2L has its own software associated with the Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor. So just make sure you have the right one downloaded for this. And like I said, when you do the orientation quiz, you should go through that whole process. That's, like I said, that's a big reason for the orientation quiz, is just to make sure that you have all the proper software and you're ready to go for when the first exam rolls around. Okay, what's allowed in the workspace? So you can have a calculator, something to write with, blank paper, but no spirals or folders. Okay, and then you can have your 1 3x5 index card. Okay, so things to remember: find a location that is with a flat surface. You don't want to take it, while laying in bed or anything like that. Okay, so make sure you're at a desk or a kitchen table or something like that. Obviously, find a quiet place. No other people should be in the room. Do not wear headphones, earpods, earphones, etc. Um, hat, hoodie, sunglasses. Please be in a well-lit room, but try not to put a bright light behind you because that can distort the video. So want to have plenty of light, but don't put a light like shining at the camera. So once again, that academic integrity, I'm not going to read through all this, but basically, if you don't follow the protocol that I just outlined, you're just automatically, it's going to be a 0, and then you have to take the remaining exams on campus. Okay, so let's not have that happen. Other reasons you could be dropped is if you score 0 on 2 or more exams. Absence, well, that's not really a thing for this since this is an online class, but if you get behind on your coursework, that's where that can kind of come in. So that's kind of the participation right here. You must complete at least 1 homework assignment each week. Okay, you actually are typically given about 2. You have about 2, some weeks you have 3, but most weeks you have about 2 homework assignments. So when you email me, just make sure you give all your information so I know what class you're in, because I'm teaching 4 different classes, so I want to make sure I know which one you're from. All right, let's see, anything else? A lot of this stuff is, you're going to see this on all your different syllabuses for our syllabi for Lone Star. One thing I will point out is let's see, where is it? Disability services. So if you have any accommodations, please email me and contact me about that. I want to make sure that I am following that. So if you have any accommodations, let's see. I think that's it. So then when you get to the bottom, you can go ahead and you'll hit acknowledge, and you'll be done with the syllabus there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to content so you can see where some of the stuff is that was discussed. So here's the syllabus link right here. This is separate from this one. This is, I think, just like an online copy of it right here. All right, so let me go back to content. All right, so then I do have the calendar. I already have it open, so I'm going to pull that up right here. So here's our calendar. So our class starts January 20th right here. So on that first day, you want to make sure and read the syllabus, watch the video, and take the orientation quiz. Now, the way I have this set up is really it's going to be homework assignments per week. Okay, so I put them at the beginning of the week on Monday and Tuesday or wherever I can fit it, basically. But what you'll notice is what I have here written in red is it says homework for the week is going to be due on Sunday. So 1.1 and 1.2 will be due on Sunday the 25th of January, okay? And so most weeks it's going to be due on the Sunday. I think I have 1 week when it's due on a Monday. And the only reason it's due on Monday is because my exam window ends on Monday. I think all my other exam windows end on a Sunday or something like that. But this particular one ends on a Monday. So the homework for this week of February, I actually extended out until February 16th right here. So going back up here, so you'll notice right here the orientation quiz, you want to do that by January 28th, and that's part of your ODR, the official day of roll. And so you have to do that or else you will be dropped. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If it's not completed, you will get dropped at ODR. All right, so each week, like I said, you have about 2 assignments each week, 2 homework assignments. And so then whenever we finish a unit, by the way, the exam review is an assignment. It is a homework assignment in MyOpenMath, and we'll go over that portion in a little bit. And so that exam window, this first exam window opens up February 11th and then ends on that Monday the 16th. So you need to take that first exam within that window. Please don't wait till the last day. A lot of students do, and then you know what happens? Things happen. You know, unexpected things happen, and then you miss an exam, and that's not good. So let's make sure we start off strong. So then let's see. So then we start our unit 2. Then you can see this week we have 3 homework assignments in this unit. The 2.4 is a pretty short assignment, so it's not too bad. All right, so then our next exam is going to be right before spring break. So it's going to be March, March 10th through the 15th is going to be your window on that one to take your exam. Then we'll go on spring break, and then we'll come back and we'll start our Unit 3. And then your next window is here from April 14th to the 19th. Then we have one last unit right here that's a couple weeks long. But then what we're going to do is we'll have our final exam here and not last week. And the final exam, and I'll send more details about this when it gets closer. The final exam, about half of it is made up of the new material for this last unit, and then the other half is some of the older stuff. And the review, if you complete the review and you're prepared, you'll be fine. So once again, we'll send out more details about that towards the end of the semester. All right, so we've got that. Now we are at My Open Math Access. So this is this right here that I'm in content, and then My Open Math right here. So you can go to this website and then set up an account. And when you set it up, it's also going to ask you for a course ID for what course you're taking. And then there's also an enrollment key. And the reason I have that is just so people don't accidentally sign up for my course that aren't part of our class, right? So go to the link, register. It's really simple. Let me go ahead and go to this. And this is actually, I believe, our class right here. Yep. This is our class right here. Let me go to the home. So when you, here we go. So you're going to register as a new student, do all that. I'm going to go ahead and just log in. And I have all my different classes right here. So y'all's is, let's see, right here, online. So click on that. And so here's, once again, my information with my email, my office number, office hours, which I need to fix that. That's not correct right there. I also even have WebEx, so if you ever want to meet online for tutoring, we can do that. And then these are the textbooks that I use for this course. But you really, I mean, you can access them if you want, but I do already supply the notes and videos for all the lessons. So here you have a calendar where you can try to kind of keep track of stuff it has when things are due. And then you down here, you're going to have your different units, unit 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then there's this one that says proctored exams. You won't see that. It's hidden. And so like I said, it's what I do is I kind of have to hide the exam in My Open Math, but make it available. And so what you'll do is you'll go to D2L, and like I said, that's how you're going to take the exam, or that's how you're going to get to My Open Math so that you can take the exam. And like I said, it's simple. You'll see when you go through the process. Okay, so back to Unit 1. So right here I have a Unit 1 help forum. Okay, so whenever you're working on homework, there's a way that you can press a button and basically ask a question. And that's really helpful because typically whatever you're struggling with, somebody else is probably struggling on that same question. So I really prefer for y'all to use the help form, and I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Let me go ahead. I guess I'll just go ahead and click on this assignment. And we'll just go ahead and start with the preview here. Well, okay, so this is how it will look for you. And so here's the question. It says factor out the GCF right here. And so let's see, the GCF would be 8. And then when you do that, you'd be left with H plus 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and put H plus 3. I'm going to put the wrong answer. So let's see what happens. So I'll submit it, and it'll say, oh, the first part was correct. I did get that part correct, but something's wrong here. Oh, yeah, never mind. That's supposed to be a 2. And so you get about 3 opportunities before they're going to make you have to just do the question all over again. So if you do get it wrong multiple times, eventually it will say, okay, you want to try a similar question to get credit. Once you do a question, it automatically saves. You don't actually have to submit anything. It's done. You're good to go. Now, let's say I need help with this question though, you can post to the forum. So if you click here, see, it tells me what the question is. It even has the question here, and you can send me a message like, I need help with whatever, right? So you can type your question, like what you're confused about, And so, like I said, typically that can help everybody out. And so you post to the thread, and I'll see it, and I can respond. Okay, let's see. Let's go back here. Okay, so back to the homework. Um, a lot of the homework questions, let's see, a lot of the homework questions, I try to pick them that have, a lot of these don't have them, but later on you'll see a lot of them will have videos. So if you are stuck, that's another thing you can do is you can watch these videos that are attached here. So those are the different help things. So some of them have multiple videos, so you can watch. And most of these videos are like 2 or 3 minutes long, so they're not going to be super long. Then right here, factoring trinomials. Once again, there's a video here if you need help. So what this is, so typically it costs, most of these programs cost about $100. And so this is a free one. This is like an open source sharing platform for teachers. And so the teachers make these questions themselves, and then we share them, right? And so I've been using it for about 3 years now, and compared to the paid platform, I don't really notice a huge difference in terms of quality. And so that's why I go with the free one, because why not? So as you can see here, you can do that or post if you're having if you're struggling. Okay. But before you even do the homework, you'll notice that each lesson is going to have notes and have videos right here. So this first part is a factoring review. You can click on the link and it will open a new window in YouTube. Okay, and so you can watch it this way. And so it's just going to be videos of me working out these examples. And what you'll notice is that the examples pretty much go exactly with the homework. So if you go back to the homework, let's see, so you can see that first question is very similar to this first question, number 1 right here, right? Then let's go to number 2. Okay, this time it has the powers are a little bit higher. I do have a negative value leading coefficient. And you can see I probably have a negative one later. Let's see. Oops. I'm sure at some point I go over what happens if you have a negative leading coefficient, because there is something you kind of have to do a little different there. But anyways, the questions pretty much should kind of be identical to what you're going to see in the homework. So right there now you got 3 terms. Then here, this is the factor by grouping problem right there. And you can see you've got problems like that right here on number 7 and number 9. All right, so we have that. And then let's see, go back down here. And then here are the notes. And so you can click on that. And so you don't have to, but if you want to, you can print it out so you can follow along with the video. Some students find that really helpful. You don't have to, but they're there. So we do have outline notes that go with the video if needed. Also, so if you want to, like I said, if you click on it, it'll open in a big window. But if you just hit this, it'll open it in this size window. And so you could also watch the video from here like this. It's a little bit smaller, but you can do it that way, or you can open up a new window. It's up to you. And then same thing with the notes. If you want to, you can open them like this into a smaller window. There they are. Okay, so that's kind of it for the MyOpenMath portion of it. So just go there, click on it, and start your homework. There's videos, there's notes, and then if you're stuck, I prefer you use the help form, but if you're a little shy and you'd rather just contact me independently, that's fine too. Just shoot me an email. Like I said, the more detail you give about what you're struggling on, the better I'm going to be able to help you out. And so typically when students contact me like that, or even in the forum, even in the forum, I typically make a video response. I'll make a video and post it for you to kind of help you out with whatever you're struggling with. So anyways, there's all your homework. There's the exam review and all that kind of stuff. And once again, you can kind of see the due dates for things in here. You can kind of click through it and you can kind of see when everything is due. If it's in gray, that means it's not available yet. Okay, so those aren't available yet, but there we go. Trying to think if there's anything else in here you need to know about. I think that's it for now. Let's go back to D2L so that I can show you how exams and stuff will work. So if we go back to content here, so there's two different ways you can get to this stuff. You can either go into course activities and go to quizzes, or I have them listed right here. So orientation quiz, exams, and then work submissions. And so remember, the work submissions are so that you can get partial credit on your exams. So let's start with the orientation quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So here it is. And I'll go ahead and open it up. It's not going to be available to you until January 20th. And so you have to have the lockdown browser and webcam. So this is just kind of mentioning that to you. And so it's going to cause you, or it's going to require you to download and install the latest lockdown browser, and then go ahead and launch that and get that going. So you'll have 2 attempts on the orientation quiz. Once again, this thing is kind of more about, like, I want you to learn the process of how testing is going to work. The orientation quiz just has a couple questions about the syllabus and calendar. You can have those in front of you. Like I said, this is more about you going through the process. I don't care if you have the syllabus in front of you. The lockdown browser will be enabled, so you won't be able to look at your stuff online unless you print it out. Or if you want to, you can use a different device during the orientation quiz. Okay, so the orientation quiz, like I said, it's not a high stakes thing. It's more about trying to get you to learn the process and make sure you know how to do all that. All right, so let me go to quizzes, and I'm going to go to, let's see, trying to show, okay, let me see. Okay, the problem there was I was still in student mode, so that's why I wasn't able to click into here, so I can kind of show you. So, so this is just going to be quiz questions. So, when is your instructor available for office hours? Just look at the syllabus, right? When emailing your instructor, what does the syllabus say should be included? The homework is worth what %, right? The purchase of a textbook is required, true or false? On exams, students may use, which calculators. Exam 1 is scheduled for what time, frame? And so that's multiple choice. So it's about 15 questions. It should take you about probably 15 minutes, maybe even shorter if you have the syllabus in front of you, okay? So, like I said, I don't care. You can have another device while you're taking the orientation quiz. Now, when it comes to testing, that's different. So let me go back to the quizzes. So for exam 1, when you come take that, okay, so this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have to go through the process of the lockdown browser and all that good stuff. And then what this is basically, there's only one question in here. So this is what it says. It says use the link to access your exam. So that's all this D2L quiz is for, is just to get you to your test so that you can use the tools of Respondus Monitor and the lockdown browser. So go ahead, you'll click this and it will open up a new page for you. Now, you'll have to know your login information for MyOpenMath, and I'll remind you of that before the first exam. So you have to put in your username and password, and then once you do that, it takes you directly to the test and you're ready to go. You're going to take the test. Once you're done with the test, you'll close that window and you'll come back here, you'll select true, and then you'll just hit submit and you'll be done. Okay, so I know it's kind of silly that we kind of have to go through D2L, but that's the way I have to do this in order to use Respondus Monitor, because we're required to proctor exams, right? And so MyOpenMath, like I said, that's a free resource, but it does not have the Respondus or lockdown browser built into the program. And so it's kind of like a little workaround. We're kind of working around that issue by not hiding it, but embedding it into D2L. Okay, so that's how you're going to do your testing. So I'm just going to close that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think one thing I didn't talk about was the work submission. So when you click on this tab, you're going to have 4 of them here. Okay, they're all kind of the same thing, but different time frames for different exams, right? But they all basically say the same thing. So my work, exam 1 work submission, so you'll just click on it and it will allow you to attach a file. And so you just attach it and then make any notes you need to and submit it. Um, and then I will look at that to reward you partial credit. So the main thing is you got to submit it within 1 hour after testing, and then make the document a single file. So please don't, attach, 8 pages for every page. You need to submit it as a single document. Then also just make sure it's very nice and clean. Make sure it's in numerical order. I know sometimes you might not need to show work for some questions, and that's fine, but just make sure it's well organized, okay? I don't want to go searching for, oh, okay, question 5. Where's question 5? Just make sure it's in numerical order so that I can award you partial credit on those questions. Um, okay, I think now that does do it. So if any questions or concerns come up, the best thing to do is address them as quickly as possible. So if you're confused about anything, don't hesitate. Send me an email. Let me know what's going on. We'll get you fixed up, okay? All right, I look forward to working with you all this semester. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out.